Hailey, and today I'm going to be doing a kind of late Christmas book haul. So normally I buy all my books for myself because I work at a bookstore, so I can get them for employee discount, and I have so many books that no one knows what I own, so it's just easier that way. But for Christmas this year, I sent my mom a cart full of Book Outlet books when they were having their Black Friday sale, and I was just like, you want to get any of these and you can get them, and I think she got all of them, really. So you may have seen these in my reading vlog already, but now I'm going to talk a little bit more about them, so let's get into it. Now you'll notice that this is different than my other book hauls because it is primarily adult books, and that being said, it's primarily adult historical fiction because when I read adult books, historical fiction is definitely my genre of choice, that or fantasy, but generally adult historical fiction is what I read. And that's part of the reason why I read more YA, because I like YA in a vast variety of genres, but when it comes to adult, it's really only historical fiction and fantasy. Anyways, the first book fits neither of those categories, and that is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland Decoded by David Day. I was gonna say Mark, but it's David Day. This surprisingly is a copy that I didn't own in my vast collection of Wonderland stuff, but I have a bunch of kind of books that are studying and dissecting Wonderland, and I haven't read any of them, so I think I'm gonna take a month, like maybe in February, and really focus on reading those books so I can delve a little bit more into one of my favorite books in the entire world. This seems like it's going to be really cool. It's got all sorts of different stuff. It's kind of similar to, what is it called? The Annotated Alice. That was hard for me to remember for whatever reason, so kind of reminds me of that, but I just feel like this is going to be awesome, and I'm very excited to delve into it. I've got this one, and then I've got the Annotated Alice that I haven't read, and then I also have Disney version that goes through like the movie Alice in Wonderland, so I'm hoping to read all of those so then I can learn a little bit more about it. Since we're on the note of classics, I'll just talk about the other three classics that I got. So first is Thumbelina by Hans Christian Andersen. This is like a little teeny copy, a Thumbelina sized copy of the fairy tale Thumbelina. I loved the movie as a kid, and I just think it is such a wholesome fairy tale, and I do really enjoy it, so I wanted to have a little copy of it because why not? Next is Winnie the Pooh by A.A. Milne, and this is a story that I grew up watching, and my mom loves Winnie the Pooh, so I'm so happy to have this, and it is just so cute. Like this edition, look at him! It is so amazing, and I've never actually read, I don't think at least, any of the stories of Winnie the Pooh. I've definitely seen the TV show a million times, so I do really want to read the story so I can know a little bit more about behind the scenes of the TV show. I think it's something that I would really enjoy and would just bring back such intense nostalgia. Next is Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. I remember watching the movie for Charlotte's Web a few times, but I have never read the story. I never really read classics as a kid, but it's definitely a story that I do want to read since it's such an iconic children's story, and I love children's literature so much that I want to start reading more of the children's classics, which I mean, I do read a lot of them as it is, but I want to get into more of the modern ones. So I feel like this is definitely a good place to start. And next I have the only 3 YA books here. So the first one is The Smell of Other People's Houses by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. I included this in one of my first most anticipated releases videos that I did. I actually have to do one for winter 2018 now that I'm thinking about it. But anyways, I included it there and I just never ended up picking it up. But then Lala over at Books and Lala really enjoyed this book, so then my interest in it was renewed. So I am very excited to have it now so I can read it. But really all I know about this book is that it is set in Alaska. I don't know what time period or anything like that. All I know is Alaska. Next is Love, Lies, and Spies by Cindy Anstey. This is a Victorian set novel, which I'm totally down for. I love the Victorian era. This actually I will probably be reading soon because I have, I think 3 now, 2 or 3 books that are set in this kind of era, and I've heard great things about these books. They're just quick, kind of fun reads, and I'm definitely down for that. Like many other Victorian set novels that I've read, this is all about a girl who doesn't want to conform to Victorian ideals. She has other plans, and society's like, nope, and she's like, I don't care. I love stories like that though because they always are kind of poking fun at Victorian ideals for women, and I just am all about that. Next is Reawakened by Colleen Hook. This is set in Egypt, and it tells you nothing on the back of this book. Literally all it says is a modern girl in ancient price, a centuries-old curse, and an epic journey with more twists and turns than the Nile itself. So I guess I'll have to read it to see. But I know that one of my best friends read it and really enjoyed it, so that definitely has my hopes up. I forgot one YA book, so there's actually 4 in this haul, but the next one is This Monstrous Thing by Mackenzie Lee. This is actually a Frankenstein retelling, and Mackenzie Lee, you might recognize the name, is actually the author of The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, so I'm very excited for this. this. I forgot another one, I'm so sorry, but the next one is Strands of Bronze and Gold by Jane Nickerson, and this is a Bluebeard fairy tale retelling. The same friend who read Reawakened really enjoyed this one, so I have high hopes once again. Now getting to the other books, hopefully my battery is not going to die, but the next book is The Fortune Hunter by Daisy Goodwin. This is all about Princess Sisi, who I don't know a lot about, but I know that she was an Austrian princess because I remember in Salzburg there was a bunch of stuff for Princess Sisi, so I'm very intrigued about her story. I love reading about historical princesses, and especially like an Austrian one. I feel like that's going to be super cool. But she is unfulfilled in her marriage to the older Emperor Franz Joseph. She has spent her years evading the stifling formality of royal life on her private train or yacht, or whenever she can, the back of a horse. Oh, and she meets a captain and stuff. It seems really cool. I'm definitely down for this. Next is another novel by Daisy Goodwin, and that is Victoria. This is all about Queen Victoria, who is a historical figure that really intrigues me. As an English major, I specialized in the Victorian era. I read so many Victorian novels, but I don't really know a lot about Queen Victoria herself. This is actually based on letters from her, and this is what the TV show Victoria, which I want to watch but I want to read this first, is all set on. And I just watched Victoria and Abdul, the movie that came out recently, so I'm definitely wanting to read this very soon. My camera battery died, so the camera angle probably changed, sorry. But the next book that I got is The Muse by Jessie Burton. Jessie Burton is the author of The Miniaturist, which I read a while ago and I enjoyed, but I think I want to reread it. But I did really like her writing style, and I was intrigued by the idea of this. The Muse basically makes me think of writing and even just any art, and right now I'm seeking some inspiration for my own art in terms of writing, so I felt like this would be a good book. Next is We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This is another one where I don't know much about it. Honestly, a lot of these I don't, and you guys probably know by now, I don't like going into books knowing a ton about them, and especially since it's been so long since I gave the list to my mom, I don't remember. But I know this is a Hamlet retelling, I believe, and I've heard amazing things about it. Max over at Well Done Books really enjoyed it, and I trust his opinion, so I felt like this would be very outside of my comfort zone, and why not give it a go? Next is Austen Land by Shannon Hale. Shannon Hale is the author of so many books. Like, she has books in basically every single age group, but I just read her YA books and I absolutely loved them. I ended up marathoning the Books of Bayern series, which is something I haven't done in a long time, and it was so good. So when I saw that she had a Jane Austen inspired book, I was like, yes, I need this in my life, so I'm very excited to read it. Next is The Accidental Empress by Alison Pataki, another book about Princess Sisi. I don't know what it is, but I'm very intrigued by her, so I'm excited to get to these two books. I always read about royalty from England, so I really want to venture outside of that and read some more European royalty, so then eventually I will get to royalty outside of Europe, because European royalty is like my comfort zone because I can actually understand it. Everything outside of that just confuses the heck out of me. Even European royalty really confuses me, but I've been to a lot of the places, so I think that's why I have an easier time with it. Next is A Certain Age by Beatrice Williams. This is set in the Jazz Age, right after the Great War, and it follows a woman who has fallen in love with someone that she really shouldn't have, and it's kind of about how the old world is falling and there's this new world order that is coming to be, and the conflict between the two, so I think it's going to be really interesting. It's an era that I haven't really read a ton of, so I'm excited. Next is The Forgotten Garden by Elizabeth Morton, and this is about a girl who was on a ship to Australia and she was abandoned. She ends up getting taken in by the dockmaster and his wife, and by the time she's 21 they tell her the truth, and she sets out on a journey to discover who she was, or who she is rather, I guess, like where she came from. That would be the good sentence to use. I've definitely seen this book around and it's always intrigued me. I didn't really know what it was about, but just since I had seen it so much, I was like, let's take a chance on it, and I'm hoping that I will like it. It sounds like something I would enjoy, so we'll see. Next is Marie Antoinette, The Last Queen of France by Evelyn Lever. This is definitely the kind of book I wouldn't normally pick up because this is actually a non-fiction book. Like I've mentioned, I'm super interested in royalty and all facets of it, historical fiction as well as non-fiction, and this is the first non-fiction book I've picked up in a long time, and I'm excited to read it because I'm a super nerd when it comes to history, and the French Revolution is an era that really intrigues me, and Marie Antoinette as a figure definitely interests me, so I'm excited. I've said I'm excited so many times, but it's so hard to find other words for that, okay? Next is The Marriage of Opposites by Alice Hoffman. Alice Hoffman is an author that I've seen around a lot, and I don't even know why this is the book of hers that I decided to pick up, to be honest. The synopsis is something that seems like nothing I have ever read before, so I guess we'll see how it goes. I honestly just kind of took a chance on all of these. I wanted to break myself out of my comfort zone, and that's why I gave my mom a really random list, but I'm super excited to read them. I do want to try new things, so I'm pumped. Next is At the Water's Edge by Sarah Gruen. This is set in 1945 and follows someone who is hunting down the Loch Ness Monster, so that sounds amazing. And the final book that I got is The Madwoman Upstairs by Catherine Lowell, a novel of the last Bronte. I have been reading a lot of stuff about the Bronte sisters recently. I don't know what it is, but I just happen to be picking those books up a lot, so I probably will be reading this pretty soon. But it's kind of funny because I've only read Jane Eyre. I haven't read Wuthering Heights or anything by Anne Bronte, so these are definitely making me want to read those very soon. So those are all the books that I got for Christmas. Thank you to my mom for getting these for me. I'm hoping that once I read them, she will read some of them so then we can discuss them, or even my dad, he can do the same thing. Thank you to my dad for these books. I'm definitely excited to be branching out of my comfort zone with these books. I think it's going to be lots of fun. And the sun is shining right on me, so the lighting is weird. We're just gonna ignore that. But thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know if you have read any of these books, your thoughts on them, or if you want to read any of them. And if you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe. I put out new videos every Monday and Thursday, and you can also follow me on my social media. I have Twitter, and my Twitter is at @HailesInBookland, and I have Instagram. My Instagram is at HaileyInBookland. But all that information is down below for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!